All right, so you're ready to jump into the world of Cirque du Soleil, huh? Well, you're in luck. We're diving deep into O today.
Ooh, oh, good choice.
Specifically for those of you out there planning a Vegas trip and, want to make sure you're snagging the best seats in the house.
Right.
We've been scouring Reddit threads, checking out what actual people are saying, and even hit up trusty Wikipedia for some solid facts.
Oh, yeah, I gotta have those facts.
So consider this your ultimate guide to experiencing O like a pro.
Love it.
And it's funny, when we started digging into this,
Yeah.
it seems to be one of those shows that people either absolutely adore
Yeah.
or they kind of walk away feeling like, it wasn't as amazing as Ka or Love.
I've heard that too, and that's what makes this so interesting,
It
remember?
does. It does. So before we get into the nitty gritty of seats and all that,
Oh,
maybe a quick rundown of what O actually is.
sure, let's set the stage.
Yeah, so to speak.
From what we've gathered, O is this big water-themed extravaganza at the Bellagio.
Oh,
Right. You've got acrobats, synchronized swimmers, divers, all doing their thing in and above this massive pool.
I read it's like 1.5 million gallons.
Something like that. It's insane. And Wikipedia even mentions that the theater itself is designed to look like some old European opera house from like the 14th century.
Wow. Talk about setting the mood. But with all that going on,
Yeah.
where do you even begin to figure out where to sit to see it all?
Well, that's where those Reddit threads come in clutch, right?
Exactly. I'm seeing a lot of buzz about these producer seats.
Ah, yes, the producer seats. They're in the back rows of that lower middle section. And while they're definitely pricier,
Okay.
people seem to agree they give you the most balanced view of the stage and all the action happening up above the water.
I can see why those would be popular.
You're close enough to feel the energy, but far enough back to take it all in.
It's like that sweet spot, right? You get the full picture without feeling like you're missing something.
Exactly.
But you know what really caught my eye scrolling through those comments? The number of people raving about the loggia balcony seats.
Ooh, the logi seats, those are a bit of a hidden gem.
They sound like it. They're up higher and further back.
Yeah, and that's what people love about them. You get this wider view of the whole stage, see everything going on both above and below the water. And the best part,
What's that?
they're way more affordable than those premium seats down closer.
Oh, so you're basically saying you can get a fantastic view without breaking the bank.
Exactly. It just shows that doing a little research beforehand can make a huge difference.
Huge difference. And I guess it comes down to personal preference, right? Some people want to be right in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Others, like myself, might prefer that broader perspective.
Right. It's all about what you're looking for in the experience.
It reminds me of this one Redditor who said their mom sat in the front row and actually wished she'd gone with the loggia seats instead.
Oh, interesting. What didn't she like about the front?
She felt like she was missing out on seeing the whole picture, like she was too close to appreciate the scale of everything happening on stage.
Oh, I can see that.
Especially with Oko having so much going on, performers moving between the water and air, it makes sense that some people might feel like they're missing something if they're right up front.
It's almost like having too much of a good thing, right? You need a little distance sometimes to appreciate the full impact.
Exactly. Oh, and speaking of different perspectives, did you see all the love for the mezzanine seats with those individual rolly chairs?
Oh, yeah. Those sounded cool.
People seem to like that they felt a bit closer to the action
Yeah,
without having to pay those premium prices. So that seems like a nice middle ground, right?
totally. It's all about finding that balance, isn't it?
Absolutely. But before we get too deep into this whole seating debate,
Okay.
I think we got to circle back to what makes Oko unique as a show. Like, what about the story? What about the actual acts themselves? How is it different from other Cirque shows?
Well, from what I've gathered, OA isn't really about telling a straightforward story.
Hmm.
It's more about creating this feeling of wonder, playing with these dreamlike images. Think synchronized swimmers suddenly turning into aerialists.
Oh,
Fire bursting out from under the water. It's all very poetic and abstract.
okay. I'm starting to get it.
It relies heavily on the visuals and the music
Hmm.
to create this really immersive atmosphere.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like they're painting a picture with movement and sound.
Exactly.
Uh,
And that's what sets it apart from shows like Ka with its warrior energy or Love with its musical storytelling.
it's a completely different vibe.
Right. O is more about evoking emotion and spectacle through these incredible feats performed in and around the water.
So it's less about following a plot and more about experiencing the artistry and the athleticism of the performers.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's like watching a living, breathing painting unfold before your eyes.
Wow, you're making me want to book a ticket right now. But you know what really blows my mind? Thinking about the technical side of things. How do they even pull this off?
Right, like turning a pool into a solid stage,
Mm-hmm.
and then back again.
And those costumes, they're constantly getting soaked and then have to dry quickly for the next
It's
performance.
mind-boggling.
It makes you appreciate the behind-the-scenes work that goes into creating this magic.
Absolutely. And speaking behind the scenes, did you see those Reddit comments about how certain enhancements can affect the O experience?
Oh yeah, those are pretty funny.
Depending on where you're sitting and how potent those gummies are, things can get pretty trippy.
It's like adding another layer of sensory overload to an already overwhelming experience.
Right. It makes you wonder if it would enhance the experience or just make it too much to handle,
It's definitely something to consider, right?
for sure. But on a more practical note, those Redditors had some good warnings, too.
Like what?
Some mention that seats above the stage can get chilly, and you might end up craning your neck to see everything.
So comfort is definitely something to think about. You don't want to be freezing and getting a neck ache while trying to enjoy the show.
Right. It's supposed to be magical, not a pain in the neck, literally.
Exactly. I think we've covered a lot of ground here in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
We've got a sense of what O is all about, explored some of the most popular seating choices, and even delved into the technical wonders and potential pitfalls of this unique Cirque experience.
And we've only just scratched the surface. I'm excited to see what other insights we uncover as we continue this deep dive into the world of O.
Me too.
Going through all that stuff about O on Wikipedia and Reddit,
Yeah.
it really hit me just how much work goes into, like, every little detail.
Oh, for sure. Like we talked about how crazy the stage engineering is.
Yeah.
But the costumes,
Oh my gosh, the costumes.
they're not just pretty to look at. They have to actually hold up to all that water
Right.
and dry fast enough for the next show.
I can't even imagine the laundry situation backstage.
It must be insane. One of the sources mentioned they do like 60 loads of laundry every night
No way.
just for the costumes. And it's not just tossing them in the washer and dryer either.
Oh, definitely not. Each costume is like a work of art.
Right. They're hand painted and they use these special silicone treatments.
Silicone treatments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised too. What's that all about?
Well, apparently it helps the costumes flow better in the water.
Oh, that makes sense.
And dry faster, too. These performers are going from swimming to diving to flying through the air.
Right, right.
The costumes have to be both stunning and practical.
It's incredible how much thought goes into every single aspect of this show.
Totally. Speaking of aspects, we haven't even mentioned the music yet.
Oh, yeah. I was reading that the O soundtrack is this really unique mix.
Yeah.
Like classical music meets world music
Oh, wow.
with instruments you wouldn't expect, like erhu, bagpipes,
Really?
even an African kora, I think.
Wow, that's so cool.
It creates this really interesting soundscape that matches the whole water theme.
Yeah, the music is such a key part of any Cirque show.
It sets the mood, builds the emotion.
Totally. Like one Redditor described O as a symphony of water and movement.
Oh, I love that.
The music totally brings that feeling to life.
It's all about creating this multi-sensory experience.
Right. It hits you visually, it hits you through the music, it even evokes these emotions.
And that brings us back to something we talked about earlier,
What's that?
how O seems to get these really different reactions from people.
Oh, yeah. Some are blown away, others not so much.
Do you think it's because O doesn't really have a clear story?
That could be part of it. Shows like Ka and Love have more straightforward narratives,
Easier to follow?
right? O is more abstract, relying on visuals and symbolism.
So maybe some people just aren't into that?
Maybe. But it's interesting. Even the people who weren't crazy about O,
Yeah.
they all agree that the technical stuff is incredible.
Oh, absolutely. Like the skill of the performers, the way they design the stage.
It's mind-blowing.
It just goes to show you that Cirque du Soleil is all about pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Exactly. Even if the story isn't your thing, you can't deny the sheer talent and creativity on display.
So true. Okay, let's talk VIP experience. We touched on it before.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear more of what those Redditors had to say about whether it's worth it for O.
Well, it was a mixed bag. Some felt like it wasn't worth the extra cash.
Especially with those Lodgia seats being such a good value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The consensus was that unless you're really into the whole VIP treatment, separate entrance, pre-show drinks and snacks,
Oh, the bells and whistles.
right, you're not really missing out on much in terms of the actual show itself.
It seems like the O experience is pretty spectacular no matter where you sit.
As long as you've done your research and chosen a seat that you'll be comfortable in.
And that fits your budget.
For sure. It really comes down to personal preference in the end.
Okay, so let's recap what we've learned so far. We know that O is this incredible water-themed spectacle visually stunning, technically complex, and filled with this amazing blend of music and